All right, everybody. It's December 9th, 2024. I was editing the video. There's been a break in the case. I'm going to put this at the beginning of the video just to get it out of the way so that we don't play stupid. Kind of wish this information would have been released a little bit earlier or a little bit later so that I could have got my video out and then could have been like, ah, because I think I got some shit in there. You know what I mean? I think the body of the video got some shit. But I'll just read off what I got for you real quick. December 9th, 2024. 26-year-old ex-Ivy League student Luigi Mangione was arrested in Altoona, Pennsylvania on weapons charges. It happened because somebody at a McDonald's recognized him, called 911 and said, "I believe I'm looking at the UnitedHealthcare assassin." And I mean, look at him. That looks like the dude. Like, come on, man. After they arrested him, they took him in for questioning and recovered a litany of additional damning evidence, such as a fake ID with the name Mark Rosarito. I think it's Rosarito? Yeah, Rosarito, which just so happens to be the same name that the hostel said he checked in under, as well as the fake name that was in fact on the ID they saw. They also found clothes that match the clothes worn by the hitman on the day of the assassination. And here's the nail in the coffin. They found a 3D printed 9mm pistol with a suppressor. Now, all three of these things are pertinent to the case. However, the most damning one is obviously the 9mm pistol, which, by the way, I was wrong. Everybody was wrong. It wasn't a Glock. It wasn't a, well, I mean, I was still kind of right in the sense I said it was semi-automatic. I believed it was semi-automatic, but it was a 3D printed semi-automatic 9mm pistol. So all they need to do is run ballistics on that pistol and he's locked away for life. It really just goes to show you, no face, no case. All right, I'll let the video start now. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for tuning in. Here's a quick disclaimer, guys. I will be reading from a script that I wrote out because I want to stay on topic as much as I can. So if I'm looking down too much or if it bugs you guys, I apologize, but I'm trying to stay on topic as much as I can. So let's begin. It's December 4th, 2024, 6:43 in the morning. Brian Thompson, CEO of the UnitedHealthcare Group, approached the entrance of the Hilton in Midtown Manhattan between 6th Ave and 53rd Street, or at the corner of. Moments later, at 6:44, he was shot 3 times by a masked hitman, who then fled the scene, leaving behind 3 shell casings, each with a different word inscribed on them: delay, deny, and depose. He is then seen fleeing through an alley between 54th and 55th Street, where he then gets on an electric city bike heading north up 55th Street towards Central Park. 2 minutes later, at 6:46, police officers from the Midtown North Precinct respond to a call of a man who had been shot in front of the Hilton. When police and EMS arrive to the scene at 6:48 to start life-saving measures to Thompson, the hitman is simultaneously seen riding an electric bike into Central Park at the West 60th Street entrance, approximately 6 blocks from the scene of the assassination. 8 minutes later, at 6:56, the hitman is seen riding out of Central Park. 26 blocks later, it is now 6:58, and the hitman is seen at 85th Street and Columbus Ave. He is then seen heading north on 86th Street at 7 o'clock, and at 7:04, he is seen entering a cab. It's 7:12, December 4th, 2024. Brian Thompson is pronounced dead. 7:30, the hitman is seen entering the bus terminal off of 178th Street, never to be seen on camera again. It is now Friday, December 6th. They find the hitman's backpack in Central Park. As of writing, this is the most updated timelines of events from Brian Thompson dying to the hitman escaping. Whether he was acting alone or as the hand of death from some particular political group, I have to start by saying I do not condone the use of violence to further one's political agenda or ideals. I also have to say that I do understand why this happened, however. While the poor have to deal with being denied health care that they pay into, the CEOs of these same companies don't have to worry about a thing. They get to live lavishly and comfortably while the rest of us suffer. Not to mention, UnitedHealthcare recently introduced an AI with a 90% error rate. The company blames this AI for their denial rate of 1/3 their total claims, which is double the industry standard of 16% denied claims. Meaning UnitedHealthcare has an average denial rate of 32%, yet at the time of writing, it seems that the AI algorithm is still being used. The question here is why? Other than to further increase the bottom line of the company, why is it being used? Using this timeline and some of the new speculations from investigators, we will discuss why I believe the hitman will be found out in the coming weeks. From the brazen early morning hit to being the internet's favorite heartthrob of a hitman, why do I think he'll be found out? Simple. He lacked the necessary operational security. From showing his face, the message he sent to the police with his backpack, the purported use of a city bike in the getaway, and the potential gun he used all lead me to believe him to be much less of an Agent 47 style professional hitman, and much more likely leads me to believe he's your average man with a vendetta against greedy corporations, much like the new Batman's Riddler. Let's start with the most obvious mark against our would-be hitman. The fact he allowed his face to be captured on camera. The picture of his face, from what I can tell, was captured on November 30th, 2024. This is not confirmed. This is me speculating as I went through all the timelines the best I could, and it seems like that's where it happened, but I could be wrong. The picture was captured when he was checking back into the hostel he was staying at. The hostel is located at 891 Amsterdam Avenue on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. This was approximately 54 blocks from the scene of the assassination. While the location has nothing more to do with my point other than to show you how far he traveled to accomplish this hit, I still find it interesting nonetheless. Now the big question, why did this man on a mission compromise his face? Well, it's the downfall of every great man. He was talking to a girl he was attracted to. A simple flirtatious interaction led to the hostel clerk requesting him to pull down his mask and smile. Talk about women in male-dominated fields, right? Like Jesus Christ. To think she wasn't even a federal informant, yet he still managed to honeypot himself. Bravo. Kudos to you, my guy. While he does have a hood on in the picture, you can clearly make out his face and, like his jawline, his nose, his cheek structures, his brow structures. It's not the best angle, but that does not mean he cannot be identified through law enforcement facial recognition software. While not completely reliable, any and everything will be used to locate and apprehend the suspect. Next to DNA evidence, a photo of your face is just as important in terms of evidence. And here's the kicker. They have DNA evidence they sourced from a discarded water bottle at a Starbucks. And they also have a partial fingerprint from a burner phone they suspected he used. Strike one for our real life Riddler. Now let's talk about strike two. While he was in Central Park making his great escape between 6:48 and 6:58, he made a quick detour to finish his master plan, leaving another message to be found days later by investigators, his backpack filled with Monopoly money. The backpack, together with the 3 shell casings found with the words delay, deny, and depose, carved into them, make his intentions clear. Due to the fact that the phrase delay, deny, defend is commonly used to describe insurance industry tactics, it is also the title of a book written by J.M. Feynman that heavily criticizes the industry and their tactics, making authorities as well as myself believe the assassination had a political motive. And I mean, come on, he was staying at a fucking hostel. He hates CEOs and he stayed at a hostel. Yeah, how is this strike two, you may ask? This is mainly due to the brand of backpack he decided to use. The backpack is believed to be an older version of Peak Designs' everyday backpack. Peter DeRing, the CEO of Peak Designs, got about 10 text messages from people he knew and people he hadn't heard from in years on the day the backpack was discovered, asking if this was his company's backpack. Upon looking into the backpack, he contacted police with information, such as the fact that the backpack was most likely bought between 2016 and 2019, or less likely bought used off of the Peak Designs website. Upon further questioning, Peter DeRing said, and I quote, "Of course, my instinct would be to do whatever is possible to help track this person down," unquote. This makes it even harder for the hitman to get away. Along with the picture of his face, we now have a small company who is willing to go through their sold to records to help the authorities. If a JanSport was used, I'd laugh. makes it almost impossible to track down where he bought it or who it is that bought it, because it's such a large company that distributes to so many major stores, right? But the problem is Peak Design started by making camera accessories before they moved into making bags, specifically for photographers, but that doesn't mean like those are the only people that own them. Making this a niche bag to own due to its use and price point, and modern versions of the everyday bag are in between $250 and $300. So it's not a cheap backpack. Comparatively, this will make searching Peak Designs super easy. There's a 3-year time span, and then an even less, intrusive search they have to do through their used goods sales. So it's, that's quick. I could do that in a day. I could go through my company's stuff in maybe not a day, but like 2 or 3 days, especially if I'm looking for a certain thing. Like that should be easy. And this just goes to show you should have bought generic. However, I believe that leaving Monopoly money, those shell casings, and a $300 backpack was the point of the message, right? Strike 3 is where we start to find a little bit of trouble with the use of the City Bike. The bikes you need an account and a credit card to be able to use. Well, however, it's not always the case. You can use Visa debit gift cards as well as City Bike gift cards to be able to pay for your ride. You can also use spoof emails on burner phones as well as the use of a VPN to try to hide your digital footprint the best you can. But with 2 major mistakes already, I'm erring on the side of caution when saying this. This man may have had a plan, but he seems to have lacked the common sense needed to cover the basics when it comes to committing crimes, let alone murder. So is this strike 3? Or does strike 3 come from the firearm he chose to use? At first, it was speculated to be a B&T Station 6.9. The Station 6.9 comes, well, not 6.9, but the Station 6 comes in 45 ACP and 9mm. However, there were 3 9mm shell casings with the messages inscribed on them, leading us to conclude it would obviously be the 9mm variant. Why does it make it easier to find him? Well, that's simple. It's a niche gun, just like the Peak Designs backpack is a niche backpack. This gun is used by mainly veterinarians and gun hobbyists. And with a price point of $2,500, it's safe to say that your average Joe is not going to be picking this up to go plinking. But what if this is just another case of a false positive, like the City Bike lead? Because obviously, if we can't connect emails and credit cards to them, that City Bike lead is kaput. Well, that just might be the case here with the firearm specifically. There were an additional 3 live 9mm rounds found next to the spent shell casings, meaning that upon people initially thought when he was racking his slide, it was to clear a jam. And then people said, well, if it's the B&T, that's how it works, because it's like a bolt action. You got to kind of cock it to be able to appropriately load the next round. However, with the addition of 3 unspent live rounds, it tells me that that was a semi-automatic firearm that he was, in fact, clearing jams on, right? So does this mean that he was kind of a ditz and he didn't really know what he was doing? Or is this a mark of a professional? Well, there's a little bit of a nuance there. When it comes to semi-automatic firearms or any firearm you suppress, the whole point of a suppressor is to, again, make it quieter. Suppressors disperse the gas that is coming out of the barrel of a gun so that it is quieter, because when the gas is leaving the barrel at supersonic speeds, it interacts with the air in the atmosphere in such a way that it makes that bang or that crack sound you hear when a gun goes off. So a suppressor diverts the gas, makes it quieter. It's not silent, but it is quieter. Well, why was his stuff jamming? Why was his gun jamming? Well, it's speculated by Colion Noir that he was using a semi-automatic, most likely a Glock, with a suppressor with no booster. And a booster is an attachment to your gun that you add on when you are applying a suppressor to a pistol that counteracts the weight of the suppressor to allow your pistol to fully cycle. When the pistol doesn't fully cycle, the spent shell casing cannot leave the ejection port. Now, you might be thinking, oh, he's such a noob. Maybe. Or maybe he knew exactly what he was doing, and the way that there was 3 shell casings next to 3 live rounds tells me that he might have known exactly what he was doing. Because the ones that were spent were the ones with the messages that were inscribed on them, right? Those were the ones that were spent. And he had to inscribe those messages preemptively, meaning he had to load the magazine preemptively, meaning message in the barrel, no message, no message, so that when he fired, a message would be sent, no message, a message would be sent, no message, a message would be sent. And then he has one ready in case he has to pull that gun again. And I would hope he took the suppressor off, because if you got to pull that gun again, I hope you don't have a bolt action Glock going against whoever you have to go against that is most likely to be firing at you. So this being said, it seems like even if it was a semi-automatic gun, that the way that everything happened was completely intentional. He most likely fired this firearm, knew that this malfunction was going to happen, but he also, here's the kicker, when that malfunction happens, it actually does make the gun quieter. Remember how I told you the gases are released out of the barrel? The gases are also released out of the ejection port when that casing comes flying out, meaning gases are flying out that side too, making noise. So, but if it's closed and that it never leaves, well, the gas can't escape. It's only going out the barrel, which is already suppressed. Maybe, just maybe, he knew exactly what he was doing. I'll give him that. But the firearm is not necessarily something, because it seems like it was a Glock or another run-of-the-mill pistol with a suppressor. It's not going to help us here. To play devil's advocate, however, what if he was a professional hitman? Maybe just made a few mistakes along the way. It's 100% possible, sure, that this man was a professional hitman who just got complacent on what would be most likely the largest hit of his life, the largest job he ever took. Do you believe that? I don't believe that. Everything in my gut, I mean, like, weird things have happened. Let's be honest. Weird things have happened. I'm not going to deny. But, like, everything in my gut tells me that this was a young man with a vendetta against the system, specifically a vendetta against the insurance system. Like, it's from all the evidence that has been released and that I have gone through, that's my conclusion. Whether it's a niche gun or not, or even if they can't link the city bike to him, the fact of the matter remains. We know his face, they have his DNA, and the owner of a small business is willing to do everything he can to incriminate the suspect. If it wasn't for our own modern day Riddler's hubris, he might have been able to pull this off and get away with it. But he had an ego, and it shows, especially with that Monopoly money play he did. He has an ego. So, in conclusion, the claims adjuster will be found. So, do with that as you will. Stay dangerous, and remember, together we move mountains.